Alright guys, I thought I'd make this video because I just seen Piers Morgan come up on my screen and it was him and Professor Marandi, and I do enjoy these videos. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Marandi, welcome back to Uncensored.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good.
Hundreds of thousands of people have taken to the streets in Tehran for the 10-kilometre funeral procession for Iran's former supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. What does that say to you about support for the regime?
Look at all them people, man.
Well, it wasn't hundreds of thousands, it was in the millions, and it was much longer than
that's what they were saying, like
10
19
kilometers.
million
And
people.
Western journalists were here to see it, and you can see it through satellite imagery. So it's much, much larger than that. And it reminds me of once when I came on your show, and I gave footage to your producer, and you showed it, and you brought this woman who claimed to be Iranian, who also said she will, when she's finished with me, though, the biggest part of my body will be the tip of my pinky, my little finger. She said it was AI.
I remember that one as well.
You recall. And so, well, here it is. Here's the footage people can watch, and apparently we are all AI again. She, of course, after threatening me, was on your show repeatedly, from what I hear. But the fact is, Piers, that the legitimacy of the Islamic Republic of Iran, or the regime, as you call it, is very high.
The regime.
And it shows
It's funny,
that...
because he calls, he says, like, to Israel, the Israeli regime, the American regime, the Epstein regime.
The Iranian people are extraordinarily angered by the fact that the United States and this ethno-supremacist regime, whose former prime minister you just had on, who didn't say a word about the genocide in Gaza or Lebanon. His criticisms of Netanyahu was that he failed.
That's a lot of people there, though, isn't it, for that funeral?
The fact is that they're outraged, the Iranians, and they want revenge. And we saw that on the streets. And
I've got a feeling what Piers Morgan is going to say is they're being forced out. If not, they'll be killed. I don't know. We'll see.
Journalists. And if you had accepted my offer to visit Iran, you would have seen it for yourself.
The curious aspect to the funeral scenes is that a huge number of the Ayatollah's family were there, including 3 sons, but not the son who's replaced him or been named as his successor, Mojtaba, who is believed to be the new supreme leader. He's not been seen or heard.
Obviously, he's going to get killed. Why would he come off for?
The war began, and since it was reported that he has become the new supreme leader, it does prompt the question: where is he, and when can we expect to hear from him?
Well, he's not presumably the leader. He is the leader, and of course, when
he's not presumably the leader, he is the leader. That's it, Marandi.
The United States bombs a country, slaughters its leaders, and bombs schools and slaughters school children, and the Americans, the Israeli regime, and the West, and the collective West supports it. And the Chancellor of Germany would say that Israel does our dirty work for us. That means that there are no rules anymore. The West has created the law of the jungle. And so we have to protect people in this country. The country has to protect its leader. The leader has to protect its the citizens of the country, the scientists, and so on. So obviously, until the situation normalizes, he is going to have to be very well protected. Because if Trump could, how do we know he wouldn't try to assassinate him? If Netanyahu could, I'm sure he would try to assassinate him.
Of course he would.
That explains why we may not have seen him, but it doesn't explain why there's been no audio yet. Why would any of this prevent him from issuing some statement where you can hear his voice and hear him talk about current events, which would make it clear he's still alive? Many people think that there is a possibility he's not alive.
I mean, it's a good question, because obviously they can pre-record the video or audio and play it out. But let's see what Marandi says.
Well, why would we have him as our leader if he's not alive? We'll choose a leader who is alive. And
Perfect answer. Of course. Why would you? If he's dead, why would you say he's our leader?
people have met him. The president, after once meeting him for 2.5 hours, gave a long report on their meeting. So no, he's alive and well, and he's running the country. But with the new, I'm just guessing, but with the new technologies and the capabilities, perhaps they feel that it is best not to give any sort of information that could be used by the United States or the Israeli regime, which are one and the same in many respects, to attack him.
We've seen crowds chanting death to America and death to Israel, as well as waving signs with threats against Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Do you endorse those chants and signs, or do you condemn them?
Death to America and Iran, and I may have said this on your show before, shouldn't be taken literally. It's like saying Yankee go home doesn't mean that anyone who carries a U.S. passport should leave the country. When they say death to America, they mean death to the U.S. empire. And they mean death to this oppressive regime which slaughters our children. So I think it's understandable. If what the United States had done to Iran was carried out by Iran against the United States, slaughtering the leaders and slaughtering people and school children, I think the United States would have done more than chant death to Iran. They would have probably used a nuclear weapon. So
100%, without a shadow of a doubt. If Donald Trump was killed now by, say, a North Korea, would they sit down idly by with placards? No, they wouldn't. The United States Air Force, military, everything would be there, launching missiles, nuclear weapons, everything.
Hurt the American government so much. When you see all the dead children in Gaza and in Lebanon, and the massacres and the genocide and the dead children in Iran, I think it becomes understandable when people say death to America. Just like, in your case, you invited this woman on your show who said, when they're finished with me, she said, with me, the biggest part of my body will be my little finger. And you invited her on multiple times afterwards, so I guess you don't have a problem with that.
I have a problem with anyone making threats against anyone.
Well, if it was my show, I wouldn't have invited such a person again.
Well, people say that a lot about me inviting you on.
Do they? Let's have a look. Let's scroll down to the comments. Who else skipped? Are you guys reading this? Who else skipped to watch Professor Marandi? Put your hands up. That's exactly why I'm watching it. Professor Marandi is the boss that humiliated Piers countless times. Me. Whoops. Let's scroll down. Professor Marandi. The Epstein mob lecturing us. The way Piers' face becomes even more smug every time Professor Marandi debunks him is priceless. Skip this straight to the professor. Everyone's here for the professor. Come on, Piers, stop lying.
I never said I'm going to cut your body into various.
No, but you've given a rather torturous justification of chants of death to America and death to Israel, which most people aren't buying.
Well, yeah. Well, if chemical weapons were used against your country with the endorsement of the United States, if a couple of 100,000, if an airliner was shot down by, you were in a country whose an airline was shot down by the United States. If you were living in a country which was under maximum pressure sanctions, which prevent food and medicine from getting into the country, if you were in a country where the United States has waged 3 wars against it, they encouraged Saddam Hussein to invade, last year they attacked, and this year attacked, I think you would understand how people in Iran would feel about the United States government.
And you've carefully glossed over, of course, the fact that this Iranian regime has sponsored terrorism all over the Middle East, including funding and arming the Houthis, Hezbollah and Hamas. Does that not enter your thought process when you analyse this situation?
The only terrorist regime in our region is the Israeli regime, the one that you...
See, the thing is, right, with these groups. For Iran, they're resistance fighters. But in our news, they show us that these guys are the terrorists. But if you look at, on the Iranian side, the American empire, the Israeli regime, they look like the terrorists in their eyes. So both sides have a different version of terrorism. I'm not saying what's right, what's wrong. I'm just looking at the facts of what's going on the ground. And I mean, look at when these wars go on. It seems like the US empire has like some sort of green card where it can get away with all sorts, and yet the world stays silent. There's no accountability.
Refused 3 times already. When I asked you, do you accept the legitimacy of an ethno-supremacist regime, and you refuse to answer, that is the only terrorist regime. They carried out genocide in Gaza. They carried out genocidal attacks in Lebanon. Just yesterday, they murdered a principal of a school, her husband, and their maid. And every day in Gaza, they're killing multiple people. Every single day, children, men, women.
Well, your regime spent the first part of the year.
You started now. Your regime did this.
Of protesters on the streets of your country.
But if you remember,
recently
Trump came on the news and he said, I don't know why there was no uprising.
The people are watching it. They want to go out on the streets. They have no weapons. They have no guns. We thought the Kurds were going to give us weapons, but the Kurds disappointed us. The Kurds take. So I'm very disappointed in the Kurds.
We know the truth by now. We've already seen admissions. We've already seen admissions by the Israeli regime, Channel 14 of Israel, saying that they brought in the weapons that were used to kill hundreds of Iranian police officers. We know that the U.S. Secretary of Treasury said, I manipulated the Iranian currency to bring people to the streets. And then Channel 14 said they gave the weapons to kill people. We saw Trump admit that he sent weapons for Iran. We saw Pompeo admit that Mossad is on the ground in Tehran during the riots. And we also saw...
Come on, Piers, why are you lying? You know it.
The Israeli Mossad in their Persian language media said that we are on the ground. We are with you in Iran too.
It must
those
be...
who carried out the armed
you know
insurrection.
what, Professor Marandi? It must be so frustrating. It must be so frustrating, if I may say so. It must be so frustrating for you to see your perfect regime be so unfairly maligned by everybody that they would think that actually, if only we knew just how blameless and perfect and idyllic life is in Iran under your regime. But maybe, as you say, maybe I'll have to come there and see it for myself.
I think that would be an interesting idea. But I think that you know quite well that the victim is Iran. The victim is Palestine. The victim is Lebanon. The victims are the people of this region.
Well,
and the best way
I definitely would categorize. I would definitely categorize.
Is to accuse
there are
victims.
definitely people in Iran, Iranians, who are victims of your regime.
We saw them on the streets, didn't we? We saw them on the streets today and yesterday and the day before. We saw them.
Okay, Professor Marandi, I appreciate you coming back on. Thank you very much.